that you can take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Hold on to the edge of your seats because you are in for quite the ride. It's time for the Granada Forum radio show. Right now, live on air with your host, Granada Wendy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Granada Forum radio program. Today is the 1st of June. We want to say hello to Cousin Bob, who's right now somewhere in a desert having some fun. There you go, Cousin Bob. We want to thank our wonderful, we have a nice guest tonight, Mr. Peter. I don't know Peter's last name, going to kill me. But it's going to be a recap on what's going on the 92 freeway about the mural. So it's going to be fun. We're going to get him on at 7:30 for a few minutes, so it's going to be some fun there with Peter. I want to thank my lovely co-host, Mr. Nick Pearson.
Hey, hey.
And my wonderful producer, who we can't live without, Mr. Richard Kane.
Hi there.
And we'd also like to thank Mad Painter for a couple of weeks ago for helping us out on a very critical moment. So thank you, Mad, for that one. This is the first, and we're going to have some fun tonight. And, of course, next week we do have Deborah Tavares on with a special guest, so that'll be wonderful, Deborah Tavares. And you go to her website at www.stopthecrime.net. That's www.stopthecrime.net for Deborah Tavares. So we'll have her next week. It'll be very, very good. By the way, this is Revolution Radio, and we are the #1 commercial-free, listener-supported internet talk radio station in the world. You can get us at freedomslips.com. That's freedomslips.com. And, Nick, what is the other place you can listen to?
You can listen to us on iTunes.
iTunes?
You can also hear us later on when I repost the show up on our Granada Forum YouTube channel, and you can find us on Facebook.
And what's it? What? They have another one, freedomradio.com. Is that
No. The other one is revolution.radio.
Revolution.radio. I'm going to write that one down. Revolution.radio. There you go. Thank you. There you go. So we're very, that's good things. By the way, if you'd like to go to the homepage, leave equivalent to a cup of coffee. We appreciate it. Or check out Nighthawk's for a donation of about, I think, $100. They'll give you 3,500 seeds on how to grow, store, plant, and everything under the sun. So it's very well worth it. We'd like to thank Mr. Nighthawk for that, because that's very nice. By the way, we will be at the 46th Annual Cancer Control Convention, September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2018, at the Glendale Hilton Hotel in Glendale, California. Just go to www.cancercontrolsociety.com. That's www.cancercontrolsociety.com. Their phone number is 323-663-7801. That's 323-663-7801. This is for all the alternative therapies to cancer. And incredible, we can get bailout for that one. That'll be a lot of fun. We get bailout here for this too. It'll be a lot of fun. And also too, we're also going to be we're going to be on the 15th. We're going to be at Alien Con. Me and Nick will be in person with Cousin Bob, and a couple of our gophers, Liberty and somebody else. So we're going to be there at the Alien Con in Pasadena on the 15th on Friday night. So we'll be doing a live show there 2 weeks from now. So we're looking forward to that. Go to aliencon.com. That's aliencon.com for that. Also, too, we are filming and we'll be doing a live presentation Friday for these guys at the Natural Health Solutions Expo. And that's at the LAX Marriott at 5855 West Century Boulevard, Los Angeles, 90045. That's 5855 West Century Boulevard, Los Angeles, 90045. Phone number to call is 562-212-3479. That's 562-212-3479. And that's Natural Health Solutions Expo. I'm sure they got a website. Check it out at the Natural Health Solutions Expo, probably.com. And have a lot of fun there. And that will be at the LAX Marriott. And that will be September 22nd through the 23rd. September 22nd through the 23rd. Okay, cool. All right. By the way, we want to thank Ola Lola for drinkyourvitamins.com. That's Ola Lola for drinkyourvitamins.com. Great product, good company, and we'll definitely get Mr. Coonan back on to have some fun and some laughs because he's so smart and so good. Also, too, check out a couple of radio stations real quick besides the Revolution, and check out our other programs that we have on our radio station. Also, check out Infowars.com. That's Infowars.com. Carrie Cassidy, which is ProjectCamelot.org. ProjectCamelot.org. Check out Project Camelot. Good stuff there. Jeff Runts has got a great website. And, of course, GeorgeWebb.com. That's GeorgeWebb.com for great stuff on George. You can't beat it. And Jason Goodman for CrowdSourceTheTruth.com. That's CrowdSourceTheTruth.com. All kinds of interesting things going on there. All right. So we're on the 15th. We're going to be at Alien Con. Next week we got Deborah Tavares, so it's going to be a barn burner, to say the least. And we're having Peter come on in a few minutes. Real quick before we get into some stuff, John, did you want to make an announcement?
Yes, I would, Wendy.
Okay, well, we'll let you make the first announcements because then me and Nick will probably get into a few things and then bring Peter on. Go ahead, John.
Well, I've been doing a lot of research, and of course, you know, I'm supporting and endorsing Dr. Robert C. Newman II for Governor of California. Now, in my research, I found out, and it took a little while to uncover this information, but apparently both of the so-called leading Republican candidates who have been allowed and privileged to participate and attend the only debates held here in California have both taken contributions from George Soros, if that tells you anything. George Soros. This is a fellow who allegedly collaborated with the Nazis and
not allegedly, he did. He admitted it.
And confiscated Jewish estates of victims that were taken to the concentration camps and executed. So I just want you to know what sort of moral fiber these other two Republican candidates are made of. And in the latest polls as of today, considering there are about 27 gubernatorial candidates, Robert Newman is in about 5th place. So anything's possible. And of course, all of you know that John Cox is claiming that he's been endorsed by the president. And there is nothing really to substantiate this except he apparently is a very good liar, and in all probability he never received the endorsement, but it's very difficult to check and verify these things. And recently I spoke to my friends in Chicago and Illinois, and they've told me that they've known of John Cox, but the John Cox that they knew was a Democratic candidate running for various offices in the state of Illinois. So keep this in mind when you go to the polls here in California. And let me just say one or two other things that may have been forgotten about Dr. Robert Newman. He is the only candidate who is aware of the California water shortage dilemma caused by negligence, mainly on the part of Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom. And he's the only gubernatorial candidate that I've come across who's very knowledgeable of the Mendota Delta smelt and the dilemma that we have with all of this water going out into San Francisco Bay rather than further south because of political actions that have been taken in Northern California. It's hard for us to realize here in Southern California, but hardly any of the residents in Northern California have water meters. They just pay a flat fee every year. They don't have to conserve water, but as you know, Governor Jerry Brown mandated that we in Southern California must be rationed, and the rationing was horrendous to the point that trees dried out, which made these areas into kindling, basically, hence the wildfires that caused so much needless damage. But no one will think about that, especially those who are contemplating voting for Robert Newsom. I'm sorry, Gavin Newsom. But by contrast, Dr. Newman is also very knowledgeable of the rural people as well as the urban people in California. He understands the needs, the dire needs of the farmers, as well as the people and the homeless in the cities, and that's rather rare among politicians. Well, he's not really a politician. That makes him a little bit different than the others that are running for this office. So here's a person that really cares about California and America, for that matter, but the news media, the establishment are supporting these other candidates with large, substantial amounts of money. So it's very difficult for an individual to run a statewide campaign. I know from experience myself, but he's doing a tremendous job. Right now he's up in the Bay Area, and he's being very well received up there. Okay, I thank you so much for this time. Hello?
Yeah, we're still here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
now,
I don't know where Wendy went, but I'm still here anyway.
Okay. Any comments that you would care to make, Nick?
Me, I'm gonna say this, and I say it very happily. I have no stake in California anymore. I have none. I do not vote there. I don't pay taxes there. I travel back there on occasion, but I have absolutely no. The only thing I have interest in is watching the demise of California from a distance at this point.
Well,
because it's going to fall apart, and it really doesn't matter because who gets voted, Republican or Democrat. I mean, there's that left-wing, right-wing paradigm that really doesn't exist. And I've been with the Republican Party before. I've worked with them for 4 years. I found out what a bunch of corrupt bastards they really are. Not much different from the Democrats, but the Democrats run the state, and it's not going to change. Anybody that's going to change it when Tim Donnelly was running, anybody that's going to change California the better is not going to get elected. I mean, and that's just it. I guarantee you might as well right now just say Governor Gavin Newsom, because that's who you're going to get.
Well, the reason why I would prefer that the voters not put in Gavin Newsom's name is because if you vote for an outstanding person with character such as Robert Newman, I can't guarantee that he will win, but this will give him more political clout and say in the future in California politics. He can no longer be ignored as he has in the past. So I would encourage people to not take the attitude, well, he has no chance of winning. A few weeks ago, several people were saying that to him, but due to the momentum that is going on right now, things are changing rather rapidly in his favor.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well, we'll see.
With tongue-in-cheek, I say to Nick, I guess you know what you're missing.
Oh, I know
Nick,
exactly what I'm missing.
Hey, and Nick, Gavin Newsom, is he a Republican or Democrat?
Oh, he's a
Democrat.
hardcore left communist Democrat.
Oh, God. I couldn't even think about voting for him. Oh, God.
So
I can tell you, Nick, this sounds really weird, and this is the only thing I'm going to say to you, because I don't know who really is going to win. They have like 30 candidates are running or something like that. There's so many, to be honest. I mean, I don't really know who's going to win, but I can tell you this. There's no clear, one thing I would tell you, Nick, just this, there is not one clear favorite, though. That's the one thing I would say for the governor race. There's not a clear favorite. I'm not saying that this same party won't get in, but there's not necessarily a clear favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, but with the top two, the Democrats might weed themselves out, but I'm still not holding out any hope whatsoever that Gavin Newsom is not going to win the governorship.
Well, you know, I don't know. Stranger things have happened, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Put it like this. If just knowing the Republican Party in California, if, say, either John Cox or any of the other guys who get past the primary into the general election, I guess, and the Republican Party doesn't like them, they will be working behind the scenes to make sure that they don't get elected.
Oh, I know. I know. It's a very sad state of affair that way. Absolutely.
If Charles Munger does not want the Republican Party nominee to get elected, he's not getting elected.
Yeah, I know. He's made it very. If California, unfortunately, there's a lot of beyond turncoats, and this is why California is all messed up today.
Yeah.
It's a bad scene.
It's why I'm not there. I got tired of beating my head against the wall for nothing.
I hear you, Nick.
Don't leave me.
Okay. Okay, so John, is there anything else did you want to say?
Well, I just again wanted to clarify. Gavin Newsom, who's the current lieutenant governor, who really messed up the state in terms of water resources and land resources.
Yeah, he hasn't done a very good job at all. No, he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. Absolutely.
And then we have Antonio Villaraigosa, who.
Oh God, I know. Two. I tell you something. Two losers from I can't go there, and not just that, but their records, Nick and John, overall are absolutely a travesty. It's just horrible.
Right, and then we look at the so-called two leading Republican candidates, Travis Allen and John Cox. Both of these have taken money and funding from George Soros, and in the case
of God, are you serious? Oh God! Yeah. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, you can't win.
Yeah, it's a bad deal. That's a bad scene.
Right.
I'm going to vote for Robert, and I'm going to vote for Robert. And I've got to look at probably knowing all the propositions, and I'm going to vote for David Hernandez. Yes, I am. And I'm going to vote for David. And Roxane Hogue is running. I'm going to vote for her.
Yeah, Jack Guerrero, who's also running for state treasurer.
Jack Guerrero?
Yeah. I know the guy. I've met him a bunch of times. He was with the Liberty people.
Oh, that's cool. So Jack Guerrero, okay.
We had some people running for office. He was right in there trying to help him out when he was the mayor of Cudahy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So he's a good guy.
Good.
And it's still amazing. I still know more about California politics than I do about my new home state here.
Hey, real quick, I want to give a plug to that nice guy, real quick, John, who's running against Maxine Waters. What is his name?
Omar Navarro.
Omar Navarro, yeah. Definitely vote for Omar.
Omar's
yeah.
Omar's
I think he's got a shot. I really do think he's got a shot because She's not even campaigning.
Well, no, she doesn't. She doesn't think she has to. But Omar's funny because he actually goes out in front of her house in Hancock Park, which is not in the district that she represents, and he goes out there and campaigns in front of her house.
Oh my God! Good for him, boy. I tell you, that's some kahunas. Omar.
By the way, Robert Newman has been supporting Omar as well.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I think everybody's supporting Omar.
I don't know how anybody could support Maxine Waters at this point.
Nobody with a half a brain would even vote for her. Unbelievable.
She is clearly senile or something.
Oh God! Listen, or she's there's a little bit more than just inner tea. You know what I'm saying? Because half the time she's just like off a rocker.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's it's an Irish coffee that she's drinking, not the straight coffee.
Well, I'll tell you one thing
or she gets off her meds and her brain crisscrosses wires and she can't figure out what the hell she's talking about. So the only word she can ever remember is impeach. And she was voted like the most corrupt politician in Congress more than once.
More than once, so she has the honor of many times. Yeah, listen, the horror stories with her.
And you know what? Given our Congress, that's saying something.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'll tell you one thing real quick. Years ago, I was invited to join the American Legion, so for about 1 year I was a member until I found out that the American Legion gave an outstanding award to Maxine Waters, and that's when I dropped my membership. I could not belong to an organization that supported Maxine.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, I know. That's just terrible.
I wouldn't.
Unbelievable.
I bailed out of the NRA when I found out that they were backing Harry Reid.
Oh my God! How could the NRA back Harry Reid?
Because Harry Reid is in Nevada. In order for him to keep getting elected, he had to back gun rights. He had to vote in favor of gun rights all the time. But his problem, he didn't care about gun rights. He had absolutely no intention of supporting.
Of honoring that deal at all.
Yeah, but he kept supporting all these other politicians like Dianne Feinstein and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all the rest, who are extremely anti-gun. But the NRA, when I sent my letter of resignation into them and told them I'm not going to be part of it anymore, they sent me some form letter back. Oh, we're a one-issue organization, and Harry Reid votes in favor of gun rights all the time. It's like, yeah, you stupid moron, because he has to. Because he would never get elected if he didn't. He knows how to play the game, and then he goes behind your back and supports all these other anti-gun politicians, and yet you're still backing him, you idiots. And then it's like, if that's your attitude, I don't need to be part of the NRA anymore. Bye. Right. And I went and joined the Gun Owners of America real fast and have been a member ever since.
Back in 2016, John Cox had an organization called Improve California or something to that effect, and that PAC turned over a substantial, at least $1,000. I think it was $5,000. Maybe it was $10,000 to a PAC called Mayday PAC, which in turn gave Nancy Pelosi a very large contribution. So there's so much skullduggery in politics.
Oh, it's all.
Oh God!
Well, I mean, you want to see the kind of back scratching that goes on. Just look what happened over at Netflix. Yeah. Okay, Netflix hired Susan Rice, and she's married to some other guy, and I think he's like works with ABC or something like that. The one that just fired Roseanne. Don't quote me on that. I'm just trying to remember how this hierarchy worked. So they hire Susan Rice, who used to work for the Obamas. Obamas get out of Barry Obama gets out of office, and next thing you know, he's got a production deal over at Netflix to provide content that they say is not going to be political.
Horseshit.
And I canceled my Netflix subscription immediately.
There you go.
Absolutely not. I'm not gonna. You're gonna hire that communist prick who basically drove this country into the ground for 8 years and is now trying to take credit for the economy booming. I don't think so. Yeah, you guys go get money someplace else because I'm not subscribing to you no more. Goodbye.
Well, not only that, but Obama is involved in spying on Trump, has lied about it, and the crimes that have been committed are just unbelievable.
Yeah, but no,
it's coming. I mean, there's more and more coming out. I pray that they prosecute some of this because if they don't, they'll be they're going to set a precedent, a very bad one, and that's something they don't want.
This is the one thing that I always seem to notice about Congress when it comes to people that they want to protect. There's always a huge dog and pony show, and then nothing ever happens. I mean, even now, Trey Gowdy has turned his back on everything, and he was supposed to be a guy that everybody could count on. He was a hardcore conservative. He was not the attorney that you wanted prosecuting you because he could get it done. And so he does a 180. He blocks the investigation into the FBI in the whole dossier investigation. He basically says, it really didn't matter what the FBI did. We have to back them, and I'm not going to go for it. And it's like, okay, you're done. I mean, he's getting out of politics anyway, so I guess he doesn't really care what people know about him now anyway.
Right. His name to be changed from Trey Gowdy to Trader Gowdy. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are pissed.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. I think the stuff that George Webb has and many other people, Jason Goodman and Crowdsource and Charles O'Tell, on some of this information and their information. I mean, to be honest, the crimes that under the Obama administration and Hillary are beyond words. And they just supposedly released another. How many thousands or 500,000? How much on the emails?
It's always a new number every day.
It's beyond words. So I mean, to sit there and say that there's not evidence to go after these people, and Trey Gowdy should know better because if they do not do something about the crimes that have been committed, the next person who gets in, what you're just saying is that the New World Order or whoever's got money and power. That they're above the law and everyone else is not. So this is a government within a government.
Yeah, and this is the whole thing, though, is that the prosecution has to rely with the Attorney General of the United States. Jeff Sessions isn't doing anything.
I know,
and he's not going to do anything.
It's really sad. I thought they were going to hire another special prosecutor because Jeff would.
Yeah, they're not. They're not doing anything about it, so.
Oh God. Very sad. Well,
I mean, if you're anybody out there who's really expecting these people out of the Obama administration and the Clintons and going back for forever through the Bushes and Jimmy Carter, way back, however far back you can go and actually put people up who have committed crimes in office, don't hold your breath that they're ever going to get prosecuted. Because they never do. Even they went after Richard Nixon. He resigned. They'll throw somebody on some token somebody under the bus every now and again, to make it look like they're doing stuff. And these hearings in Congress have become nothing more than a dog and pony show that never go anywhere. And you're always seeing the same people getting away with everything all the time. I mean, they keep saying that, Donald Trump once said that he could go out in the middle of Times Square and shoot somebody and people would still love him. It's like, you know what? Hillary Clinton probably actually has. With all the dead bodies that she's left behind, the money that she stole from Haiti, all the crap that all
uranium
the
one. Oh my God, Bloodgate up in Canada. Oh my God,
never ever gets busted for anything.
Her foundation is full of crimes and holes. You can't imagine. I know Charles O'Tell and Jason Goodman got the goods on her on that one.
Yeah, and you could present that to Jeff Sessions. Yeah, I can't do anything about it. I'm recusing myself.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, is there anything you had? You want to talk about one of the most useless AGs that we have ever had.
Oh my God!
I know. Yeah, as soon as he stepped into office, into that seat, he immediately recused himself from everything. Oh, except going after people who smoke marijuana. But the guy has done absolutely nothing while he's been in office.
No, I know. It's really sad. It's very sad.
It's sad that he did it, but what's even worse, what makes it more egregious, I think, and this is one thing I'm going to nitpick at Donald Trump about, among a few things that I could, is that the fact that he doesn't fire the guy.
I think, listen to me. You know what? This is what I'm going to say to you, Nick. This is just me. I don't have any proof or nothing. Just maybe he's going to wait till after the primaries. Just listen to me. And maybe he's going to have to come to a fork in the road. I'm not saying he will, but maybe something will happen after the primaries. And I'm hoping that's going to be the case, because if he's not going to go after them, I think Donald Trump has got no other option is to let him go and get somebody in there that will do the job.
I think he's also got to keep his eye on Rosenstein too, who's the guy who comes up behind him. So you can't replace one bad guy with somebody who's worse.
No. I think he's going to have to put somebody in who's going to prosecute. He's going to have to go outside the box a little bit on this one. And maybe he's looking at them. He's looking at his options.
I have no idea. I mean, I know that guy's got a lot on his plate, and he's.
I know, but
to say the least, he's got a lot on his plate, and he's been playing these New World Order cronies, like a fiddle for a long time. But it really does infuriate a lot of people, me included, the fact that the same people are still getting away with everything that they've always done. It doesn't seem like it's changing fast enough. And I know people, when Donald Trump, I don't know how everybody in the country felt, but for myself personally, it was like, I wanted Donald Trump in there. I actually wanted Rand Paul, which I thought would have been a better choice. But, Donald Trump got in there. He got to the general election. I wanted the guy to get in there and basically steamroll the hell out of everybody. Not to the point of becoming a dictator, but to weed out so much of the criminal element that has infested our government for so long. And I'm glad when it happens. I'm just like, it's not happening fast enough for me. I really do want it. I just want him to start pounding on it. And I know he's playing the game the way he knows how to do it, and he's very effective at it. And but I almost would rather him be a bull in the china shop and just start nailing the hell out of the New World Order, the deep state, and all these people that have infected our government and have been destroying our Constitution for decades. Yeah. But I know it's hard. It's just that my patience has run out completely.
Yeah,
I know.
You got to understand, Nick, that he doesn't really control the White House yet. There are so many civil service carryovers from the Obama administration.
Yeah, this has been a nightmare.
I'm very much well aware of that. Like I said, my patience is not even thin anymore. It's non-existent.
Right.
I have no patience for the status quo and the establishment at this point, and none whatsoever. And every time I see Hillary Clinton getting away with something else, and I see Jeff Sessions backing off again on anything, and I see these trail of bodies that keep coming up, and every time we're about to get something good, somebody else gets killed, and I see George Soros's interference in everything, and then we're wasting millions of dollars on an investigation that constantly goes nowhere. And we're still fighting these stupid wars overseas that we don't need to be involved in.
Yes.
At some point, it's just like, okay, I could tolerate some of it. I can't tolerate all of it anymore. And I've seen what, my tolerance really did run out when I was in the Republican Party in California, watching the crap that was going on there. And unfortunately, the people in the Liberty Movement who did get in and were in a place to do something about it all kind of tucked tail and ran, as far as I can tell, because they all bailed out pretty quick and left the rest of us there hanging. swinging in the breeze, going like, "Wait, what the hell just happened? Where you guys? Where was your fighting spirit?" I guess they thought they were just going to take over, and when it didn't happen, they're just going, "Well, we got better things to do."
Yeah.
Like what?
Now, if I can change the subject just slightly, let's take Roseanne Barr, for example. I think she's got a good heart. She's a patriot. She's got fire in the belly. The only problem is that she's been misinformed on so much. For example, if the American people knew who Valerie Jarrett actually was, they would almost be sympathetic with that stupid statement made by Roseanne Barr, because you have to understand that Valerie Jarrett was President Obama's senior advisor.
Yeah.
In fact, she knew both of them when Barack and Michelle were just getting engaged, and she's basically
she's a hardcore communist,
a controller. Yes, she, of course, is an African American. Her parents are both African Americans. Her father was a prominent physician, a gynecologist, and her mother was one of the pioneers in the early childhood education movement. And they both relocated to Iran during the time of the Shah. And as a result, Valerie can speak French, English, and Farsi fluently. She was graduated from Stanford University, as did many other liberals. Her parents took on a very biased attitude after being victims of segregation in the South years earlier. I did extensive research on her complete family, and very well educated. But she, in Chicago, became very well connected with people like the former Attorney General
Rob Emanuel.
No. She was connected with Emanuel, but also the former male Attorney General in the Obama administration, who was involved with gun smuggling.
Holder.
Eric Holder.
Eric Holder, yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, she more or less took on the role of an appellate court for the Obama administration, and as a result of her clout and persuasion, she was able to keep him in power much longer than he should have been. He should have been fired a lot sooner, but she sort of arranged for him to have for Eric Holder to have another chance, and so he could ruin the nation so many more years.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
So if people knew the truth about Valerie Jarrett, as bizarre and stupid and out of line that statement was, Muslim Brotherhood and the Planet of Apes, which was
they're involved in they are involved, and this is another thing too. They are involved with the Muslim Brotherhood, and this is ridiculous.
Well, here's the whole thing, though. Okay, Roseanne, I wouldn't call Roseanne Barr a conservative by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But here's the thing. What she said was kind of stupid, and it did cost people their jobs and everything. But at the same time, I don't care what she said. I don't care a lot. But what you have to look at is what the double standard is.
Absolutely.
Along with it, she loses her job. Bill Maher and Keith Olbermann, who's like one of the worst people. If you ever read any of that guy's tweets, he's like one of the worst people you've ever read. Every other word out of his mouth is an F-bomb. Bill Maher and Wanda Sykes, who actually worked on the Roseanne show, got on stage one time and called Donald Trump an orangutan. So did Bill Maher. Yeah. They both have their jobs. They both still have their jobs. They can make all the racist remarks and stupid remarks and whatever kind of insensitive remarks they want to, but they'll still keep their jobs because their remarks are always very left-wing oriented. But right. Roseanne comes out, okay, I supported Donald Trump. They were looking for a reason to get her off the air. It's that whole very extreme double standard that Hollywood has. And by the way, Hollywood's been suffering for it. They've lost money on their movies. Their TV show ratings are in the tanks. Their late night talk shows, those ratings are in the tanks.
Talk about Stephen Colbert and all those guys and Jimmy Kimmel. Holy God, they used to be comedians and telling all kinds of stand-up stuff. And now they're doing commentary. It's outrageous.
Saturday Night Live used to be funny. I mean, extremely, especially the first cast. If anybody ever gets a chance, go back and look at some of the skits that they used to do back in the 70s.
Oh yeah, with Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, all of them.
Yeah, and they were actually funny, and some of the stuff that they did when they poked fun at the politicians, it was funny. I mean, I thought it was great that when Chevy Chase was doing Gerald Ford, and he didn't even try to do it. He didn't even try to do an impression of the guy. He just fell downstairs all the time because Gerald Ford was kind of a klutz.
Right.
But now you got idiots like Alec Baldwin doing Donald Trump. And it's so politically charged, and the stuff that he's saying, it's unbelievable. This is a guy who called his daughter a little pig, and it got released on somehow. I think his daughter recorded it and put it up on YouTube or something. I don't remember what the medium was. So this is a guy who's not playing with a full stack, and he's out there commentating on making commentary on the president of the United States. Donald Trump is not a perfect guy. He was not hired for this job because he was a perfect guy. He was hired for the job because people got sick of the status quo. People got sick of the establishment.
I agree.
And it was always funny. It's like the left. All these left-wing idiots are out there time and time again talking about how so many people in Congress and in our governments are lawyers, and frankly they are, and there's way too many of them. And where are the businessmen? Where are the scientists? Where are the educators? Where are these? Well, we got a businessman as our president, and now you're complaining about it.
Yeah.
Because he's not a Marxist businessman. He is a capitalist businessman.
No, and I think
I'll tell you, when Trump campaigned throughout the nation. And saw how the people were really hurting. I think that humbled him.
I believe so. I believe so.
Afterwards.
And thousands of people came out to see him. Yeah. Nobody. They had to pay people and give them shirts and donuts to go in to try to get Hillary because she couldn't even fill a room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when she wasn't falling down. So.
Yeah.
But.
The Walt Disney Company president Robert A. Iger, as soon as Roseanne made that terrible statement about Valerie Jarrett, he was on the phone right away, apologizing to Valerie Jarrett and saying that this is not ABC's policy at all. But as you pointed out, when Wanda Sykes, who was part of the Trump, not part of the Trump, but part of Roseanne's program called Trump Orangutan, you didn't see Robert A. Iger calling the president and apologizing for that statement.
No, you never would.
No. Yeah.
No, I mean, like I said, that's the part of it that got me. I don't really care what Roseanne said. I don't care that people got offended by it. Roseanne has been offensive for years. I mean, I've heard some of the dumb stuff that she said before, and yeah, some of it I got bent out of shape at too. But you know what? I wouldn't stop her from saying it.
Right.
And
how many people would be aware of who Valerie Jarrett is today if she hadn't made that statement?
Well, I knew who she was. I mean, so I was already pretty much aware of it. So, but you also got like Rich just pointed out this other unfunny comedian called Samantha Bee, who's got her own TV show called Ivanka Trump. She called it the C word. She still got a show.
Bad C word. Yeah.
Yeah, the C ladies' private parts. Okay, in case anybody hasn't figured out what I was talking about.
Yeah, the word they use on the Eastern Seaboard. We hardly use that word at all here on the West
Well, the
Coast.
thing with that show too is it's totally scripted. She has writers and everything. So I mean, this was all okayed before the show. And it's taped. It was pre-taped and all that. So it wasn't like a mistake or an accident either. That's for sure.
Yeah, she didn't make that up off the top of her head. So. But she still again, it's the hypocrisy of the media and everything. And a lot of people are saying, well, if you don't like the media, don't watch. Well, I don't. I never even would have heard anything about most of this stuff unless, it wasn't presented on alternative media, because I don't really watch the regular news.
Yeah.
But
I think Roseanne's earlier statement about George Soros, which is identical to what Alex Jones has said about him being a Nazi collaborator, and
he was. He admitted it in an interview. He admitted that
on 60 Minutes.
Going out and with his handler and confiscating the property of the Jewish people.
Yeah, it was on 60 Minutes.
That was one of the happiest.
I believe it's 60 Minutes.
Yeah, that was one of the happiest times in my lives.
Yeah. God.
Knowing that these guys,
it's pretty sick.
Yeah, these guys are going to the death camps, and you didn't have a problem with it, and it's like, no, not really.
Yeah, well, he's a complete Nazi at the finest high level.
Ever since he got his gazillions of dollars, he's been financing every single organization to undermine our country.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, he's a treasonous, evil man. Should never be allowed in our country, and absolutely... a despicable person.
Well, that's putting it mildly.
I know. Trust me, I know that.
But
despicable.
Well,
okay, guys. So it's 7:46.
Just don't call him an animal. That's all.
What's that?
Don't call him an animal, or the people will really freak out, because he still is a human being with a spark of divinity.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Nancy Pelosi defending MS-13, calling him for a spark, saying, don't you recognize their spark of divinity? And it's like, hey, dumbass, aren't you the old hag in Congress who supports abortion?
Oh, my God.
The
fact that Nancy Pelosi would stand up for MS-13, those people are terrorists. I won't even go there.
Kidding. Go live in Los Angeles for a little while, and not in the nice parts of it. And you tell me that MS-13 are not animals. Okay, I dare you to.
Yeah.
I mean, they make life miserable. I lived in not one of the greatest places in LA, and MS-13 and made their presence known there. And I tell you what, it is a miserable existence. They're having to constantly look around you to make sure that they're not coming up on you. And they're recruiting the kids. They're recruiting the kids out of the elementary schools. And if the kid says no, and the parents say no, the MS-13 shows up at their house and beats the piss out of the parents until they say, okay, the kid can join. They've had parents who had to send their kids out of the state to get them away from the gangs.
Oh,
yeah. Where's their spark of divinity? Oh, I hate to tell you this, you stupid old hag. They don't have one.
There's another one who is not playing with the full deck besides Maxine Waters is definitely in fantasy. It's unreal.
So
it is a little bit unreal, guys. The crime and the fact that the crimes are so evil, it's beyond words. It's not like a little things. They're big things.
No, and it goes all the way up down the spectrum with these people, all the way from the top to the bottom. From top to the bottom. I mean, what was that rumor about Hillary Clinton getting MS-13 to whack Seth Rich?
Oh, my God.
So, are we going to get a hold of...
Peter? Yes.
Peter. Yeah.
I was just going to say, it seems like we're getting on here, and we haven't called him yet because we got...
It looked over here, so we've got to give Peter a call.
Which is fine. It's just that if he's coming on, we need to get him on.
Yeah.
Our wonderful phone system.
It's so discreet.
Yeah, isn't it though?
Hello?
Hello?
Peter, is this you?
Hi.
Oh, cool.
Yes, it is.
well, welcome to our program at the Granada Forum radio program at the Revolution Radio, and we're wondering if, of course, you're going to do a recap of kind of what's been going on. So I'm going to give you the full spectrum to tell us and our listening audience what has been happening and with your particular subject.
Yeah, well, for a lot of people that aren't aware of the mural, there's a mural that's on the 9170 freeways in Corona, California, and about 300,000 people pass it a day, and it's 6 times bigger than Mount Rushmore. You can see it from a mile away. And high school students painted it in 1976 for the U.S. Bicentennial.
Wow.
And so, 20 girls and 10 boys, and they did it over a few weekends. It's about 80,000 square feet. And it's quite a sight to see. Unfortunately, it's been faded over the years. We haven't been allowed to maintain it, repair it, as the Corps has done on other properties that they own. They have allowed people to do that, but for some reason, they haven't done this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so today, what happened today, Peter?
Well, about a couple of years ago, the Corps, without informing the public or the municipalities nearby, the cities or the county, decided to take upon themselves to destroy the mural and to strip it off the spillway. And so we spoke with them and asked them, hey, you know what, the community wants this, we'll pay for the restoration of it. And they wanted nothing to do with it. And so we constantly talked to the cities, got the public opinion on it, and everybody wants it. All 5 cities that surround the mural have signed resolutions to keep it. The county has, historical societies have. There's 31,000 signatures on the petition to save it. And so we thought that would be enough, but the Corps still refused. They gave us a little party where they invited the public to come. Everybody got up and spoke in favor of keeping it. And it really shocked the Corps. They were really surprised. They had a lot of people there, and at the end of the meeting, the head of the Corps said, well, maybe it's not a new contest to pick a new mural, which is what they want to do. They want to have a contest to pick a new mural that they'll be picking what aspects go on to the spillway. So anyway, 12 hours later, the next morning, they came out and said, we're going to destroy it anyway. So much for having a meeting. Why did they have the meeting? Why did they bring all these people together to say, we're not going to listen to you? Only the Corps can answer that. So from there, we got an injunction to stop them from destroying it. The judge said their actions were arbitrary, capricious, and self-serving. And so that injunction is still holding while a historical review is done. Now, last year, the Corps did one historical review, and the State Historic Preservation Office did not coincide or agree with it, so they had to go back and redo it. And that took a year. It took a year because a lot of people are claiming it's a command decision to destroy the mural rather than an historic evaluation. And that's what it seems to a lot of people. So we just got the second determination. It's their final that they can do. And it says, yes, it's not historical, and it must go, and we must take it away. And we expected it. I mean, this is no surprise.
So are they gonna actually do anything about it, or are they gonna keep the mural? Or I mean, I know everybody's all up in arms about it, but
they want to strip it.
Yeah, I know they want to strip it, but I mean, what's going to be the reaction from everybody who wants to keep it? Are they gonna actually like do the same thing that I've seen other people do, link arms and make sure that they can't get in there, or how's that going to play out?
Well, I mean, it's a long process to strip it, and they've dragged this out for 4 years because usually a lot of government institutes do that, so you'll just dry up and blow away. But in this case, they don't care what the public thinks because we have asked them directly, will you concede that the public, or will you accept that the public has chosen to keep the mural on the spillway? They refuse to answer that question. One has to ask why. You know, with 31,000 signatures, all the cities, the counties, and everybody behind it, the only one that's against it is the Corps. And why won't they concede that fact? You know, it sounds like they want to put something else up there.
Right.
I mean, I don't have that information, but it sure sounds like that. And their attitude is our property, we can do anything we want, and they had actually all the equipment to destroy the mural on top of the mural. A company from back east had come out, or from the Midwest had come out, and they put stripping machines on top and pumps, and they're ready to go. The only thing that stopped it was the injunction.
Huh.
So it was hours away from being destroyed in 2015.
Right. Yeah, because you had told us about it before. We're just trying to get an update on what's happening with it. So, how fun would it be?
Now?
Like, I was trying to figure out where is this actually going at this point?
Yeah. Now there's another 30-day comment period where the public and other people can go ahead and comment about the mural and why it is historical and why it's part of the area. And after that, if the State Historic Preservation Board or the Advisory Council on Historic Preservations in Washington doesn't agree with the Corps, it takes it to a new place that we haven't gone yet. This is all kind of new for us. So we're trying to feel it out, and we feel good about it. We feel like it has merit, and it's historical, and there's a lot of historic preservationists that have backed this. One funny thing is, I was just reading, they sent 70 pages, so it's going to take a while to go through some of this. Yeah, they really tried to make it bulletproof this time. It took a year to go over all the important points for them to try and bulletproof themselves against it. But one of the things they said is that the bicentennial did not have a lasting effect, which is rather humorous when you think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, this thing's 6 times bigger than Mount Rushmore, and 300,000 people a day see it.
Right.
Peter, hold on. We're going to take a break real quick. We'll be right back with Peter and Nick and myself, and hold on to the Granada Forum radio program. We'll be right back. Hold on, guys.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Join me weekdays for my new show, Tell Chris Joe. It's going to be a problem show brought to you live from Kensington. Thursdays, I'm dealing with hot topics, heated debate, what's new around the world, and ring-ins to discuss listeners' problems and offering considered and heartfelt solutions. So join me, Chris Hart, for Tell Chris Joe. Stop what you're doing, grab a cup of tea. I'm coming live from Kensington. Relax, let me entertain you with a coffee bar online. Listeners' very personal problems. So that's Thursdays, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. See you there. It's going to be lots of fun.
This is Barbara DeLong, host of Nightlight Radio, inviting you to join me on a cosmic journey, exploring a metaphysical montage of spiritual material, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between, including spiritual readings for those who seek enlightenment. Let Nightlight provide you with equal measure of light, love and laughter, insight, wisdom, and inspiration. Monday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on Studio B, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hey, welcome back to the Granada Forum radio program. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Revolution Radio with a very special guest, Peter, talking about the mural off the 792 freeway, a couple times the size of Mount Rushmore. Peter, is there a website people can go on?
Oh, yeah. It's called Friends of the Prado Dam Mural. And
you want to say that again? Say that one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure.
Yeah, just say it one more time, a little slower. Go ahead. Sorry.
You got it. Friends of the Prado Dam Mural, or you could just write Bicentennial Mural, and it'll take you to Friends of the Bicentennial Mural.
Okay, that's fantastic, great. And then they can see it. Okay, cool. And okay, great. I just want to make sure you got that out, Peter. So
yeah, there's a Facebook page and a petition link, and all the information in the background on it. And there's a lot of people involved. We've had Congressman Ed Royce was helping quite a bit on this to preserve it, and also we're in debt to the State Historic Preservation Office and the Advisory Council because they really do care about historical properties, and it's amazing, what good work they do. I mean, I'm kind of learning a lot because of this mural, and I'm pretty impressed with some of the people that are involved in preserving properties.
Now, Peter, they have a thing called like the Historical Society, right? Are they involved?
Yeah, local historical societies are involved. They're also, they have commented to the State Historic Preservation Office because they preserve other properties and they let them know their opinions on it. And and also there's something called architectural historians, and these are licensed people that go around and they basically do the history of a property to see if it's eligible. And we have already had one licensed historian already do a review on our mural and said, yes, it is historical. So technically speaking, it's already been considered historical by a professional.
Wow.
Now, I asked this question the last time you were on, Peter. Have you gotten any help from Congresswoman Mimi Walters, who's running for re-election, as is every other congressman in Southern California, and some of the others in Orange County and surrounding counties?
We've tried to talk to Rohrabacher, and I've talked to his staff folks, and they kind of don't get it. I mean, I've also talked to the Orange County supervisors in my own district, and they all have the flag on their websites, and I talked to them, hey, would you pass a resolution? In their case, it's proclamation, and all it says is, yes, we'd love it if this was preserved for the future. It's nothing binding, right? And they're all excited when they hear about it, but after we send them the information and all the we've got like 20 other resolutions we've sent them. Here's how everybody else filled it out. Just go ahead and do it as you like, and they just stopped talking to us. And so I plan on going over to one of the council meetings and speak to them, because it's like I talked to one of the staffers and they said, yeah, we're kind of busy right now. And I said, it's the greatest monument to freedom on the West Coast of the United States. Yeah, it's the greatest monument to freedom on the West Coast of the United States of America. And I would like to go ahead and see if I can't help put a proclamation before the board. How do I do that? Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. sure they will.
Cool. Peter, it's just it's a couple size like of the Mount Rushmore. It's that big.
Yes, I contacted Mount Rushmore, and they gave me the dimensions. And the mural is 120 feet tall by 664 feet wide. And I believe Mount Rushmore is 60 feet tall by like 120 or 140 feet wide. So that makes the mural at the Prado Dam 6 times larger.
Wow.
I mean, when you're from Green River Drive, you can see it from a mile away. And until you walk up to it, you don't know how big it is, because you walk up to it and you go, holy cow, I had no idea this thing was this enormous.
Yeah, it's on the spillway.
Yes.
Not on the dam itself. It's on the spillway off to the side there, and it faces right at the oncoming traffic if you're headed east.
Correct.
So
yeah,
and I'm just trying to figure out one thing on it, because it is faded, and I can make out 1976 and year of 200 years of freedom. But what is TOP? Is it that?
Yeah, somebody put some graffiti guys put tops on it about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And the Corps refuses to let us take it off. Can you imagine if somebody put something defamatory about the Corps on that? It'd go off tomorrow. But they forced that on there to try and stick it in everybody's face for 3 years.
Was it? Was that whole spot supposed to be blank, or was it? Was that actually on there, and they just kind of changed it?
No, it said 1776 to 1976, and what they did was they made an optical illusion. And if you on our website, we show if you just return the white paint, the background paint, that the numbers are actually still there. These guys were kind of clever in how they did it.
Right.
I'm offended by it, because you don't do something like that to our flag and do that to a community that really appreciated it. But that's what that's about. And two of the things the Corps argues, and maybe some of the folks out there have heard about it, they say, oh, there's lead paint. Well, the minority of the paint on the mural is lead. And you know what? Let them deal with that any way they want and leave the majority of the paint, which is not lead. We'll restore it. We will maintain it for the future. And we already have Corona that wants to be what's called a non-federal sponsor, which would allow us to get permits through the public entity that it is with our 501c3 charity. We have all this stuff done. This is ready to go. And also another argument that the Colonel of the Corps proposed to me when I met him at Ed Royce's office, he said that we're going to raise a spillway. And I said, well, you know what? That's 7 years away. And I asked him if he had any time reference on that, and he didn't. They don't even have the money allocated for the raising of the spillway. They have to buy several hundred acres behind it from 150 different landowners. This is just another thing that they're using. And the only place that it's going to affect the mural is maybe the sidewalls are going to raise 10 feet. Because where they're going to raise the spillway, see, the term, we're raising the spillway, oh, they're going to affect the mural. No, it's 1,000 feet away. The part of the spillway they're raising is 1,000 feet away. But they know how to say stuff like this to get people, oh, lead paint, raising the spillway. Every excuse you can imagine to try and do that. They're saying it needs to be blank for 7 years until they get to it. And, it's very frustrating. There are a lot of nice people with the Corps, but we really don't understand this blowback by them.
Yeah, it's a bureaucracy, and they're getting their orders from higher up than they are. I mean, that's
they're the Army. They take
how
orders.
It is. So
yeah.
Is an Army officer in charge still a woman?
No. The Corps has usually a 3-year term limit for the commander of the Corps. And what's interesting, you mentioned that, because Colonel Colton, who was the last colonel, I think it was Kim Colton, again, very nice people and very honorable people. They serve their country. But she said something very curious. She said she was ordering the mural to be stripped from the spillway. But she said, but it's up to the next commander of the Corps to decide what goes on it. So we've proposed that to this colonel, Colonel Gibbs, who's, again, a great guy. I mean, when you meet him, you're really impressed by the man. And we asked him, hey, will you go ahead and concede that the public wants this and make the determination that no matter how this plays out, the mural will be returned, and they won't do it. So, and now, interestingly enough, the new determination that came out, we have 30 days to respond. So the Corps really can't talk to us until that 30-day period is up. And guess what? As soon as that 30-day period is up, Colonel Gibbs' term as commander of the Corps is done. And now we get a whole new colonel coming in. This is twice they've done this to us. And we predicted this a year ago. This is what they would do. They said the determination that they're writing would only take, a few months. Well, I already predicted, and so did a bunch of people in our organization said, this is what they're going to do. They're going to bring it down to when this colonel leaves, so they try and start the clock over again. Oh, we got to do this, and we got to do that. So you got to drag it out for as long as they can.
And that's how they do it.
They're good at it.
Yeah, right.
They must go to school for it.
Yeah, I think there's a training session involved there. But yeah, I mean it's not going to make any sense, and they're going to keep pushing it the way they want it to go, and it just seems like it's following along the agenda of, if it's pro-America, we got to get rid of it somehow. I'm not busting on the National Guard or the Army Corps of Engineers or anybody else who are involved in it, but they're taking their orders from higher ups.
Yes.
And they've got a career.
This goes back to the War Powers Act of 1933, in which the U.S. government is a separate corporation, which technically has suspended the Constitution. So that's why we don't have a direct say as we should have, according to the Constitution, in matters of this type. But the American people are not aware of this. And every single presidency since Roosevelt has continued with this WPA to reenact it every time a new president gets in office. So it's unfortunate.
I don't think they've ever met anybody like us. We've stopped them in their tracks for 4 years because we have truth on our side. We have the backing of the public on our side, and amazingly enough, we have every city and county in our area on our side. It's only the Corps that is rejecting this, and you know what? I mean, they had their chance to go ahead and say, okay, we'll allow you to take it off as long as you give us a guarantee that we're allowed to put the mural back in its place. And they rather eat a couple $100,000 and hire the Justice Department of the United States to strip 200 years of freedom from our society. Another thing too, this was a local, community effort. The community has pride in this. We have 15,000 comments from people saying, hey, and you know what's great is, Republican, Democrat, Independent, artists, Marine, everybody agrees we want it. I mean, how many times do we get all these people on the same page, and the government should be going, because the government says, we have to always get together. Well, this is a time we're all together. We all want this one thing, this part of our community, it's part of our everyday lives, and they're saying, it's a commemorative piece. They say it 100 times in this new determination. And the commemorative is after the fact. This was done before the fact. So but they're trying to use that as a reason why it's not legally a historical property.
Never let what the people want get in the way of a bureaucracy. Believe me. I mean, this is one of the big problems with federal government overreach is the fact that they are nothing more than a bureaucracy. And I don't know much about the Army Corps of Engineers, but it does sound like that's pretty much what they are. Along with a lot of other pieces that are supposed to be doing some things that are good, but they let the bureaucrats run it, and they can't see anything beyond a book of rules that tells them this is what we are doing, and this thing is not what we want, and this is how we're going to do it because the rules say this, and I'm a mindless drone. So don't let what you want get in the way of my mindless droning on about this rule book. And that's the only way that they can. That's the only way they can think. That's their only thought process. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to bust on the people who are in charge, but they are not going to go against what they are told. And again, this is just kind of like an example in one part of the entire country that is actually kind of a plague nationwide on every government bureaucracy ever. It's like they will not think for themselves. They don't care what the people want. There are rules that we need to follow, and we're going to create more as long as we can keep getting more money. And it's at some point it just becomes it just gets to the point of absolutely ridiculous, and some of the crap that goes on that you just really want to take some of the bureaucrats and just take them out to the gallows, like in that Clint Eastwood movie, Hang 'em High, and put them all on the gallows at the same time and pull the lever.
Well, I can tell you, what's really interesting about the folks that are involved here that we're working with, we're polite to them. I think a lot of people make the mistake because it's a bureaucracy. It kind of makes you crazy because I think that's what they're trained to do. But the people involved seem to have a lot of empathy for us, and it really, really shows that they're basically taking orders.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the problem, is that they are just following orders. They can have all the empathy that they want, but they are still going to follow orders.
Yeah,
I don't think that excuse worked really well at Nuremberg either. I mean, that's kind of a very wide stretch of a comparison, but if they're willing to follow orders on something this small, what else are they willing to follow orders on?
Well, it's definitely a huge frustration factor for the community because, I mean, I remember one of the stakeholders from the city of Chino was there, and she was saying, this was a couple of years ago, we're going to have the portable wall, the Veterans Memorial wall, Vietnam Vet wall in Chino. When are you going to allow us to clean up that travesty over the American symbol of America when all these tourists and veterans come to our town? And I mean, it's incredible when you hear your public people talking like that for the good of the community. And
right.
There's a lot. I mean, if you go on Route 66 in San Bernardino, you're going to see by the Wigwam Hotel a little orange juice stand. It's a little round orange. And just so you know, that orange is on the National Register of Historic Places. But the Army Corps of Engineers is saying we can't be on the National Register of Historic Places. But and I like that orange, and I'm glad it's on the National Register. But really, we got 31,000 signatures on our petition, and you're fighting us, and we're going to pay for the restoration, and you're fighting us. It doesn't get any better.
Yeah, like I said, it's a bureaucracy, and they're not willing to see reason on it because it goes against a set of rules in their books, just like it happens everywhere else. It's not.
They say one thing and they do another.
Well, it's not a matter of they say one thing and do another. It's that they cannot see beyond what the rule books are telling them, regardless of what they may think personally. When it comes to their job, they absolutely will not see beyond the rule book. And even out here where I live now, we have bureaucracies out here that are doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing down in Texas, all along the East Coast, West Coast, in Central America, not Central America, but the central part of the United States. You have all these bureaucracies that have been set up, and they absolutely cannot see beyond the rule book. And I have no problem with. I don't have a problem with certain rules being applied equally, but at the same time, there is no room to take into consideration the local people around, that are like this little dam in particular. They absolutely will not see around exactly what they're being told not to see around. They have the blinders on and they're looking through that tunnel. And and that's the problem. That is probably one of the biggest problems we have in America, is that we got politicians and bureaucrats especially who are just will not see anything outside their scope.
Mm-hmm.
And they just can't. They don't care. I'm getting my paycheck, and I don't care about what your township loves and whatever like this. This is what the rule and government regulations. I mean, this is why one of the things I did like about Donald Trump is he pulled back a lot of these regulations. Now we just have to pull back a hell of a lot more. I mean, I don't know how Prado Dam is falls under the jurisdiction of the Army Corps of Engineers, but just because they built it, or
pardon me?
Is it just because they built it that suddenly they have ownership over it, or how does that work?
Technically, there's a lot of people involved in this. Like Orange County owns a lot of land there. There's riparian rights. The 3 counties meet there. There's all of these things that are intertangled, but they happen to have built the spillway, so they call it their property. But then again, they're owned by the United States of America, which is owned by the people of this country. And I think I think one of the things you just brought up, I think, is really important, is that the mural, I mean, the reason it's so important, and if everyone could just think about this for a moment, there's nobody's faces on it. There's not a scene of a battlefield on it. It's words, and those words are very powerful because those words are what they mean to you personally. What does the U.S. Constitution mean to you? The minute they strip that off, they're going to put somebody's face on it. And it's not going to be connected to the people of this country any longer. This is our mural. We want it because it speaks to us directly. The second they start putting faces on it, it's ruined.
Whose faces are they planning on putting on it?
Well, I'm just, I can only give you my thought is, with all the technical breakthroughs now and in graphics and mural design and 3D effects, I'm sure they'll put something really crazy on there, and it will include people's faces, because that's what they do. Look at most murals. They have people's faces on it. This one is one of the rare ones that don't. It says 200 Years of Freedom, 1776 to 1976, has the Liberty Bell, but the artist that put it there, it's not just Liberty Bell. They said bells, in cities and towns across the country were meant for 2 things, either to be rung in danger or for gatherings and celebration. And I thought that was really brilliant of these 2 18-year-old high school kids to come up with that in 1976. And that's the importance of this. So if everybody would just think about that, you can see why this is so rare and such an incredibly rare thing in America to have, and such a precious object. And we have so many teachers saying, hey, my kids don't know the difference between the American Revolution and the Civil War. And people ask about this. And and some people don't want that to happen. I mean, for 300, in another few years, about 6 years from now, 400,000 cars a day will pass that mural. And that symbol will be up there of the Constitution. And a lot of people don't want that there.
Well, it seems, especially in California, and what's been happening nationwide is, with the taking down of all the Confederate statues and basically trying to bury the history of the country. This just seems like another one to topple over. They don't even have to pull anything over this time. They just have to scrape it off.
And the only one against it in this case is the government, because the entire community wants it. The government is the only one that hates it. And you know what? I'm going to say there's some hypocrisy going on here, because they could say, hey, we just want to get rid of the smallest micron of lead. Well, you can do that anyway, but just say that was the reason. Well, Go ahead and do it and allow us to repaint it. But they have never given us a pathway to restoration. They have never done that, even though they know the community wants it. It was funny, in federal court, the judge really pounded on the Army Corps. Well, it's actually the Army Corps hired the Justice Department to fight us in federal court. So the judge was great, and he forced the Justice Department to say, and he said this in federal court, and I love it, we concede the public wants the mural. So I'm sitting there going, it's over, we've won. No, there's a process you have to go through. You have to go all these steps, and, like it just is, they think we're frustrated. We've just begun. We're not tired. We've got 31,000 people in all the cities that want this, and we're as fresh as the day we started.
Right. And again, it to me, this whole thing just really does come down to what was left over from the last presidential administration. It's a stem of anti-Americanism that's been going on. California is rife with it. You know, and it's just another statue to topple. Even, you know, it's not a statue, but it's just another statue to topple, to take down, to remind people that how bad America is, and you can't celebrate anything that is pro-America whatsoever. You know, and even
there was.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. There was this my favorite comment. We've got like over 15,000 comments that from the people who signed the petition, and they're beautiful comments. You couldn't write these things. My favorite was from a woman who wrote when she went by it in 1976. She was 7 years old and just arrived here from El Salvador. She was in her uncle's truck and with her mom, and she couldn't speak English yet. And she asked her mom what that meant, and she said, "I have remembered that moment my entire life, and you can't destroy this thing. It is a part of America. I became an American citizen, and this has left an imprint on me that will be with me the rest of my life." From immigrants to Arctic community to veterans to the general public, everybody wants it. And shame on the Army Corps of Engineers for saying that 200 years of freedom is an offense to them.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, again, it does sound like there's a lot of leftovers from the last presidential administration, you know, and who have been trying to dismantle American patriotism and American patriots, and this is just another in a long line of it. Even if you didn't agree with what, you know, the Civil War but taking down even those statues, which are part of our history, this has become part of the history of our country. And
have they put back those statues?
No, they keep removed. They've removed them, and once they're removed, it's they're not getting them back as of yet, because too many screaming social justice warriors will have a conniption fit and maybe die of a heart attack, which might be actually a good reason to put them back.
You know, what's so sad, because if you take down the Civil War, Revolution War thing, we won't have any history of our country, and this is ridiculous that this is happening.
Well, it just seems like that's where this is going. They don't want people to know their history, because you drive by a big mural like that,
right?
And people are going to ask, like that. You said that little girl did, you know, all those years ago when she passed it on the freeway. And said, what does that mean? 200 years of history from 1776 to 1976.
Right.
You know, they're not really taught about the revolution, not in its proper context in schools anymore. So, you know, you can't have people asking questions that might go against the agenda, apparently. And that would be one of the reasons for this.
I wish somebody like a Tim Burton would do a documentary on the bicentennial. I believe it was 7 million people showed up in New York City for the tall ships, which was part of the bicentennial on the 4th of July. Ted Koppel said it was inconceivable what he was seeing. 7 million people. Like 500,000 or maybe 1 million showed up in Philadelphia to see Gerald Ford talk. 500,000 under the Missouri Arch. The Freedom Train, 36 million people saw it coming into stations around the country. That's in 1976, and the population is 218 million. This was a huge event. It hasn't been revisited, and it needs to be, because, and that's what is so important about this mural. And what's amazing is John Warner was the head of the Bicentennial Committee. He was a former admiral and U.S. senator, and he said it was the greatest volunteer movement in American history. The greatest volunteer movement. And there were 66,000 events across the country, but they were backyard events. They decided not to centralize it and to make it what it means to you. People painted fire hydrants red, white, and blue. I mean,
my neighbor did that. My neighbor did that, and they made bicentennial quarters. Do you remember that, Peter, Nick?
Oh yeah.
They still have them around. I mean, people get them in your quarters, but they made bicentennial quarters.
Oh, there were bicentennial cars. There was bicentennial everything. You couldn't walk down the street and not be a part of the bicentennial, and it lasted a year. I believe it was ABC did the Bicentennial Minute every night for a year or 2 years on TV to work up to the bicentennial. They started, figuring out what to do for the bicentennial in 1966. So I had 10 years. I mean, the government had to try and figure out what we're going to do, and what they decided to do was let it be a backyard event, not have anything that the government did that was necessarily a focused event. It had to be, part of what the community and the country wanted. And that's what made it so great. That's what made it so beautiful.
Right.
And the bicentennial train was started in 1966. This man who worked on Wall Street tried to get sponsors to get 2 locomotives to take all this memorabilia around the country for people to see. And he was within 1 hour of 90% of the population of the United States. But he went to 60 different companies and got turned down 60 different times until PepsiCo said they would go ahead and sponsor it. And that was amazing that this guy did it on his own. There wasn't a government operation. And the same thing with this mural. It can never be recreated. When are you going to get high school, 20 girls and 10 boys to run up and down that mural? They won't even let you go on it now because it's against OSHA regulations without being tethered. You can't recreate this. This wasn't a mural by committee. It was a mural from the heart of students in the middle of the bicentennial. And if you take it away, you can never, ever get that back.
Right. And it just seems another way to be and again, I don't know the mindset of the Army Corps of Engineers, but I'm looking further up the line in the hierarchy of who they're taking orders from. It just seems to be another way, leftovers from the last administration, to really kind of erase American history as being something to be celebrated. The last administration despised this country so completely.
Oh God, yeah.
And they really had, and especially in our schools, there's this huge wave of anti-Americanism propaganda that's been going on.
Oh yeah.
So you
can take a look at other murals. I mean, and they're not very flattering towards America.
No, not at all. But those are perfectly fine. So to rewrite history, you've got to erase everything. You got to chuck it down the memory hole.
Right.
And burn it. And this just seems to be another way. And I think, when you look at it in that perspective, this mural is probably just as important as any other statue of our founding fathers, even as important as our Civil War statues and memorials that have been screamed about and have been taken down. It's like they're trying to erase the history of this country. And
New York, can you imagine, a lot of people make fun of New Yorkers, but can you imagine New Yorkers allowing the Statue of Liberty to be ripped down or blasting,
my God. Yeah.
Or Dakota, the Dakotas allowing, the blasting of the Mount Rushmore to put up some modern images up there.
Believe it or not, that has been suggested.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? To get rid of Mount Rushmore?
Yeah. Because all those people that are on there were racist, except for Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my God!
But the New Yorkers would never allow that to happen. And this is the greatest monument to freedom on the west coast of the entire United States. Nothing is even close to this. I mean, we've had people from Australia say we have nothing like this here. This is amazing. You got to save it.
Right, but again, this whole wave of what came out of the last administration and with the leftist propaganda that's been pervasive in our country and in our schools, people don't have the same kind of attitude. I support the people that get behind it, especially in the communities around Norco and Chino and Corona and all of that. But you're still dealing with a bureaucracy that's a kind of a leftover of the last administration. It's kind of like, when a government falls, you're still going to have the same bureaucrats sitting there running things, and they're not going to run it any different.
Right.
Are you familiar with the murals at the Denver airport?
Yeah,
yes, I am. Yeah.
They're very dark and gloomy. And what's great about this mural,
I've seen them up close and personal. I know exactly what they look like, and they're very Illuminati.
Oh, it's very satanic.
Well,
it's dark.
They're dark, and they had to cover up some of them because they were scaring children.
Of course, but they're still there.
I thought the one with the gas mask and the AK-40, and they covered that one up with plywood. I heard last time, but I don't know what the situation is now.
Last time I flew through Denver Airport, I don't think they had them covered up at that point.
Mm-hmm.
At least I didn't see any of them covered up. They were all still pretty much out there in the open.
Okay.
And of
you
course,
know which one I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, what I found out was that when you go from your terminal to go look at these murals, you have to go back and get re-inspected by TSA again. So I got to get felt up twice on that trip.
Well, one of the great things about this mural too, and we can't negate it, is that it makes you feel good when you see it. I mean, the art community loves it because it's beautiful, it's colorful, it's red, white, and blue on this beautiful, and kids made it, and it's different from anything else. It isn't modern graphics. It's done at a time before something was Photoshopped. Everything now for a lot of stuff is Photoshopped and then placed on there. This was all kind of like a freehand thing, and it can't be. It is beautiful to look at, and you know what? It's like to take that out of our everyday lives, and local significance of it is so massive. I mean, I can go on for hours about all this, and again, the Corps has nothing to stand on, nothing, and we really hope that SHPO and the ACHP can see that, and also see it as what we believe is that it is eligible, that it does have merit, it has significance. They're trying to say that the bicentennial didn't have significance and that the mural doesn't have significance. How dare they? This is a results-driven command decision. This is not done by historians. I want people to understand that. They didn't take a year, 2 years out of their time to write this to counteract everything we said because they had truth on their side. Right. All they had was a bunch of muck, and shame on them.
Yeah, and again, it just seems like they're trying to dismantle this country and erase its history and how great America actually was. I mean, we've had our problems for sure, but in our low points, but they're trying to rewrite history is what I'm trying to say.
By removing this, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Peter, what steps now are you guys going to take to what's your procedure now to take the next step?
Well, I don't want to say too much because guess what? The Army Corps of Engineers looks at our websites and our Facebook page, and I don't want to say too much, but I can say this. I can say we have historical architects who are working on this with us, and they're amazing people. I mean, they love history. My gosh, I mean, you talk to them, you if you go with them on a tour somewhere, you will be shocked to find out how much information is on a property that you drive by every day. And with their help, we really believe that we can prove to the SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Board, they're pretty awesome people, believe it or not. And also the ACHP in Washington, which is the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. And they have saved so many properties that would be gone now that we wouldn't have. We believe that we have enough significance and historical background on these properties that if they say, you know what, we do not agree with the Army Corps of Engineers, then we go to another arena that no one's exactly sure of, where they're not going to be able to take it off and they're going to have to work with us. But will they? And in what manner? That's where we have to go next. And I think with the public and the newspapers, and I think at this point with the reviews done, now we can go to the higher ups in the press. I mean, we've had CBS, NBC, ABC, local all come out and do stories. I think now we can go even higher, and get some national recognition. The Associated Press actually sent it out across the wire, and a lot of newspapers covered it. But I think at this point it can even go further because they can't say, well, we need to do the review, and that's going to take that. Nobody wants to hear that. People want to hear, okay, are you going to work with these people or not? Now they're in a different arena. It's in the public arena, and I think we're going to win it.
Good. I'm surprised. A whole bunch of liberal groups haven't come out and called it racist yet.
You know what? This is the one thing in my life. I was sat through a meeting with 300 people, and it was like the United Nations there, and every group you can imagine was there, every side, every political party, everybody wanted it. No one has stepped out against wanting this thing, and that's the beautiful thing on it. This is one of those rare things because of what it is. It is taken on its own nature, and it's a beautiful monument to the community. It's a beautiful monument to our country, and to the bicentennial, and to the forming of our country, and what the Constitution means to you personally.
Right.
So that's why they can't destroy it. No matter who tries, they can't. That's why everybody loves it. If you keep all the weirdos away from us, we're going to keep it. And we will be together on it.
Absolutely.
Peter, have you considered approaching some of the various television stations, Channel 4, Channel 2, Channel 7, Channel 5?
They've all done stories on us. They've all come out and done stories on us going to federal court. They've actually come out to the mural site. Channel 5 has been terrific. They've done 2 stories on us so far. We had CBS and ABC and NBC local come out and do stories. The Corps actually got NBC to actually go out there to try and counter the stories that we had on CBS and ABC and KTTV, Channel 5. Yeah, that was kind of humorous because their story wasn't as good. But then we can now go, I believe, national level, because what we have the credentials to show, hey, you know what? We're nice folks. We're not throwing bombs at people. We're not being mean. We're not insulting anybody. We're just saying, hey, this is the mural. We're going to pay for it. Give us a reason why we can't have it. Got one. Case closed.
Hey,
Peter? Even no matter what. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You finish, Bert. Sorry, go ahead, Pete.
Oh,
sorry.
No. And the thing to please consider is, no matter what they say on the historical end of it, so what? Why can't you just say allow it to be put back into place anyway, even if it isn't historical? Why the battle? And they can't answer that. And on a national level, they cannot answer that. And I can say that on radio here because, that's not anything that they're going to be able to work around.
Wendy, this is Eric. I'd like to chime in real quick before my battery is going to die any second, so I'm going to try and get this in. I love your guest and great discussion. We have to keep our history. When it comes to the war between the states, whichever side you thought was the right side, the point is that the country came together after this conflict. America came together again and became one again. You can't erase that. And for them to try to erase that by tearing down monuments, they're bringing about division again. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I applaud you for all your efforts, Peter, and let's live history, not just uphold it, but live it every day.
Yeah, a lot of good people, a lot of good historians are trying to do that.
Great.
Also, too, one other thing. Have you guys thought about maybe calling President Trump and asking somebody from the White House to come out and speak about this?
I think now that the Corps has done their review, because the government does have a process, and if somebody else is, we're doing the review still, well, they back off. But I think now at this point, we might go ahead and try and do that. But I mean, the president is, dealing with a guy in North Korea right now, so we don't know how far we'll get.
Right, we understand that, but we were just thinking maybe. I was just thinking maybe if somebody from the White House came out and said, "Hey, no, we need to keep this," or maybe even write to a general or somebody on the staff that is pro-American, that this would go a long way.
I believe it would, because after all, the Army Corps of Engineers is the Army, and the Army is and the President is, of course, Commander in Chief. So if he says, "Why are you guys trying to destroy this?" they're not going to have an answer for him, are they?
No.
I got a quick question for you too. That came in from the chat room. When you said that they had some taggers had gone up there and they had changed the mural, being the size that it is, did anybody see them?
No. They did it at night. And they did it over several nights. And I went ahead and finally was able to contact the Arupa Sheriff's Department because it's hard to find out who polices that area because it's federal property, but it's county, but it's, all these different things. And they told me that the Army Corps of Engineers never put in filed a report.
Right.
Which, this is a federal crime. They did more than $1,000 worth of damage, so it's a felony. And they've gone back twice to do it, and over several nights. And, I mean, this is on a terrorist watch list because of it's a dam. Because, our Army Corps of Engineers, by the way, does a great job because that dam protects Orange County. If anything were to ever happen to that thing, Orange County would be decimated.
Right.
With hundreds of billions in damage. So it is watched like you wouldn't believe. I know. I mean, I saw stuff when I was there that I can't repeat, but they're really good at it. So why are they letting some bozos, come in the middle of the night with 5-gallon buckets of paint and God knows what could be in those buckets if they were bad guys and walk onto that property? And then they don't even file a report that would put a felony on these guys' record for coming in and doing it. Those are questions we have, and I tried to file a report with the Arupa Sheriff's Department myself, but since I don't own the property, I can't.
Right.
Right.
And
Very frustrating.
Well, on the other end of it, then, if a lot of people were that bent out of shape out of it once they did the tagging, how come they didn't go in there with their own paint and restore it back to what it was?
Because it's a federal crime to enter that property and a felony to do anything up there.
Well, apparently the Army Corps of Engineers wasn't watching it very closely, were they?
Well, you know what? Most of the people that support the mural have jobs and families.
Yeah.
Yes, so we're kind of like a different breed. We're actually nice people.
Peter, I have a question for you. How many, if any, Army Corps personnel are and remain at that facility, or is it just something that is handed out over to the sheriff departments of those?
I'd love to speak about that, but because it's on a terrorist watch list, it's best not to. But there's a lot of eyes over there. I can give you that much information. So I'm really shocked that a lot of eyes watching, and so that's why I'm shocked that anybody was able to go up there even in the middle of the night to do what they did. Because and then I saw the buckets there when I was there, and I said, hey, to the sheriff's department, hey, you guys want to come by and get these buckets? There's probably fingerprints on them because of the paint, and they said, they probably would have worn off by now. So I'm going, you know what, Army Corps of Engineers, somebody came onto your property with 5-gallon buckets that could have held anything. What the heck are you doing?
Wow.
That should be on someone's bucket list, all right.
Yeah.
No, it's disturbing. It's disturbing, But yeah, no, a lot of people, believe it or not, a lot of people have mentioned going up there and repairing it. But maybe if I was a little younger and wouldn't mind some jail time, I'd do it myself.
Hey, Peter, can you give out your website one more time, or twice at least?
Absolutely. It is Friends of the Prado Dam Mural. Prado is Prado, Prado Dam Mural. And like I said, Congressman Ed Royce has been a great help. The cities, all the council members voted in a block, each council from Chino Hills, Eastvale, Norco, Corona, all passed resolutions to preserve it. The Norco Corona Unified School District, the Corona Historical Society, the Orange County Water District, the County of Riverside. And, this is their community. This is their history. This is their local significant piece of property where the community came together and created something, and they want to keep it. And like I said, how dare the Corps drag this out for 4 years and force that blight of the graffiti to stay on there? And they did it to grind it into our faces, to grind us down, and to make us forget about what was up there. And no one's forgetting it. And by the way, like I said, it is an optical illusion. Just returning the white background paint, all those numbers are still there and present. We did an example of that on our website for people to see what it looks like.
Great. That's great. Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Nick, is there anybody else in the chat room wants to ask a question, or just for kicks? Or?
No, just the ones that I saw right now.
Okay. All right.
So, thanks, Reggae Girl, for asking the questions. Anyway.
There you go. Thank you very much. Well, it sounds, tell me real quick too, Peter. Are you guys now going to maybe do some stuff on the internet as well? I mean, even though you got your mural up there, maybe promote it even more now. Kind of just get it out, even like you said, through the national channels.
Yes, I think so. That's because we have a story now, and the news wants, something that's happening, not something that's going to happen. And now it's happening, and that kind of like changes everything.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I was just going to make one comment, Peter. I have done a lot of history on Orange County, and I'm aware of those floods that occurred. Now it's over 100 years ago, just about.
Mm-hmm.
And people have no understanding nowadays as to why, what things happened. I mean, you could almost navigate by a rowboat from, let's say, San Juan Capistrano to Santa Ana because there was so much flooding, inundation, or from maybe Santa Ana to Long Beach. And how high did the waters rise? Well, if you had a two-story home on the floodplains at that time, maybe your second level would be safe, your second story. But everything below that level was just inundated. It was a very deep flooded area that covered hundreds of square miles, and so it's a good idea to emphasize why that dam is so important in the first place to the public, and secondly, mention the significance of your handiwork or the handiwork of those young high school students who, rather than doing vandalism, wanted to do something very constructive in an orderly manner, a law-abiding manner, and I can't think of a higher level than honoring our country as they did. That is one of the most inspiring things I have seen here in Southern California. There aren't too many.
I would say on the West Coast.
Yes.
And also a combat Marine from Vietnam who is on the city council of Corona. A great guy, got up and spoke at that one meeting, and he said, you know what? That mural means something to combat vets that the rest of us will never understand. And also that night, which was an incredible night, 50 people got up to speak. There was one man whose daughter went up to interpret for him because he didn't speak English that well. And he was there in 1939 when the Prado, that there was actually a town of Prado that was there, was flooded. So we had that man that was there in 1939 interpreting with his daughter why that mural should stay. And then we had a young man who was about 18 saying that he expects to be around for the country's tricentennial and would like to see the mural there. I mean, does it get any better? And good job for the Army Corps of Engineers. They built another dam up in the mountains to help any future flooding of a 300-year flood that would destroy basically, Orange County, and raising the spillway the way they did, and all the good work that they're doing. But they're spoiling themselves with all the good work they're doing by doing this. And I think you're right. It must be a command decision because you know what? Military leaders tell somebody in the Army go that direction, and no matter what the obstacle, they go that direction. Because we've been dealing with such nice people, we don't understand the reason that they're doing what they're doing. I mean, why would you spend 4 years and $1 million over a mural? You wouldn't.
No.
Have you had any contact with the personnel at the Riverside Military Memorial Cemetery?
No, we haven't. But you know what? It wouldn't surprise me it's really amazing when you talk to people out in the Inland Empire, and you find out they know about it, and you find out they're talking about it. We're trying to get the Inland Empire magazine to do an article on it, and they haven't so far, which really shocks me because I'm just kind of going, really, do you need Tom Cruise on your cover magazine? This thing's 6 times bigger than Mount Rushmore and in your backyard, and you're not doing a story on it.
Touche.
Well,
Peter.
I was thinking that possibly something like a billboard, which graphically shows what it was in its ideal state, posted somewhere just outside the premises of the National Cemetery there at Riverside. That might get the attention of a lot of patriots.
It's amazing how many people are behind this. And I tell you one thing, I've learned about the press. Luckily they've been really good with us. But if you notice on television, the only time they show up is when there's a demonstration.
Yeah.
And so if we had 10 people show up with signs, they'll be there. But we're trying to make this more than that. This is more than 10 people with signs. This is an absolute rare piece of art that's on the west coast of the United States, and more people see it daily than people that see the Statue of Liberty or Mount Rushmore. And why it isn't treated with more respect is I'd love to learn one day.
Yeah. And when is the tricentennial, just for kicks, guys?
It'd be 2076.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not going to be for a little while now.
I know, but he was like 18, and so, he can make it.
Yeah, he can make it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it to that one.
I have my doubts about myself.
Not unless I get some of that life-preserving stuff that the globalist elites are taking that'll keep me alive for hundreds of years.
You have to move in with the Queen of England for that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, Peter, thank you so much for doing an update, and we'll keep it, close to our hearts, and we'll keep you posted. We'll keep you in our minds. We'll keep you posted. And so to do follow-up for you. And if you need anything, you call us. We'll be more than happy to put you back on. We want to thank you so much for being a part of our show tonight.
Oh, thank you. And I just want to say, like a lot of the people at the Corps are just wonderful people, and I don't mean to cast any aspersions on them. They're terrific.
Okay, thanks, Peter. This is Granada Forum with Nick and Rich and everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with Deborah Tavares. God bless. Thank you again, Peter, and check out your website.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Will you fight? No! We will run! And we will live!
Shame on you. This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee a week won't go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
We've got too far!
And I'm gonna stay right here and fight for this lost cause.
A day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
But that's fine, we'll just get tougher with it.
If a person grits his teeth and shows real determination,
failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say we can break this army here.
And win just one for the Gipper.
But I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time.
You've got to get mad.
I mean plumb mad dog mean.
If you would be free men, then you must
fight to fulfill that promise. Let us
cut out their living guts
1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do.
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
You're like a big bear, man.
This is your time.
Seize the day.
Never surrender. Victory or death.
That's the Chicago.
Who's with me?
Clap! Clap! Don't let 49, clap!
All right, let's fly! And gentlemen in England now are bed.